Hello and welcome to episode 40 of The Weighing Room, sponsored by 888 Sports, where we are back previewing a superb 9 races across Saturday afternoon, live on ITV Racing. Frankie's an absentee this week, sunning himself in Croatia, so we hope he's having a good time. But as ever, I'm joined by Paul Callaghan. He's alongside me to go through the 9 races in question. Paul, we had a good week.
Yeah, great week now. Bit quieter on the racing front this weekend, but we didn't do too bad last week. So we'll be hoping for more of the same this weekend.
Yeah, well, last week you had probably the most winners you've had on a pod, and I know me and Frankie had a few winners we chipped in, but you were definitely MVP last week with some nice price winners. I think Jungle Code was in double figure price.
Yeah, no, it was pretty good now. So happy days. Hopefully we'll get a little bit of luck this weekend.
Well, hopefully, like I said at the top of the show, we're going to go through 9 live races that are on ITV on Saturday. They consist of racing from Newbury, which is the main card in the UK, with the Group 2 Hungerford Stakes, the feature. There's also 2 races from Ripon and 2 races from Newmarket that are live on ITV this week, so we'll be going through them as well. Just before we get going, though, you can take advantage of 888 Sports' superb offer they have running at the moment. When you bet £10 on racing, you'll get £45 back in free bets using promo code HR45 when signing up. Terms and conditions do apply, so make sure you check them before getting involved. But it's a great offer to get stuck into ahead of the weekend's racing. Right then, Paul, we'll get straight into it. And the first event of the day on ITV that we're going to cover is the 120 BetVictor Handicap over 1 mile, 2 furlongs. Who do you like in the opener?
I've gone with Definite, who was well held behind the Sir Mark Prescott trained Eagles weight at Nottingham last time out. He ran out a ready winner when making all at Haydock the time before, and I'd be expecting a bold show once again on the front end from Definite, facing just the 7 opponents here.
Yeah, I think Definite's the horse to beat, definitely, and I did have a real strong look at Definite, but near the top of the weights, Rogue Rocket was the one that caught my eye. Seen 5 times this term. This gelding, I think it's been a bit of a work in progress for Tom Clover. I know he's got a lot of the Rogue horses, and a lot of them turned out to be really nice this season. But this one has taken a bit of going, and I just think the more and more racing it's had, the more experience it's getting, the more of a better horse it's going to turn into be. So finished 4th on debut at Newmarket. That was behind the likes of Francesco Clemente as a nice horse, and also Secret State that's turned out to be a really, really nice horse, winning 2 handicaps on the trot. Sent to 3rd next time out in another smart novice event. He was fair 5th and finished the same next time out. As I say, he was learning on the job. He went into handicap company at Salisbury for marker 77 and got off the mark in quite taking style. Bumped up to 84 since then. He's been seen once more, finished 4th last time out at Sandown. And look, if you just looked at the form figures and seen he finished 4th, you'd say, small field wise, 4th or 6th, not great. But if you actually look how far he finished behind the winner and the 2nd and the 3rd, he's really tight. He gets on well with the claimer Conor Planas, who's on board. And I just think this extra 2 furlongs might be what he's looking for. So Rogue Rocket was my selection. It's a bit of a chancy one, but Rogue Rocket in the opener for me. So Ripon hosts 2 live races on ITV this weekend, both tricky events to call. But the first of them is the 140. The first one, is there's been a change of race in this one. It is the Hornblower Condition Stakes over 5 furlongs. Paul, who do you land on in this one?
I've gone with New Definition, who's only the 1 victory in 5 starts. He's finished 2nd on 3 occasions. He's been beaten favourite twice. He wears the cheek pieces. He was beaten odds-on favourite at Musselburgh last time out. He was only beaten in neck by the winner. But I think he's one that'll pop up maybe at a price someday. He probably needs everything to drop right for him and a little bit of humour in as well. But I'm going to take a chance that Saturday's going to be New Definition's day. He strikes me looking at his form and looking at the style of racing that he's probably the horse that, regardless of the grade, certain horses with the types of character, when you know there's a race in them, they can just wreck your head a bit. You can try to, you could ride them handy someday and kick on and think, geez, I should have held them up and I would have won. And then you hold them up and you think, well, I should have kicked on that day. And I think there could be a little bit of that with New Definition, but I'm going to take a chance on Saturday will be his day.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, because when I was looking through this race, I was thinking exactly that. This horse could could go on and absolutely bolt up in this race, and it could be his day. But because he's a little bit quirky, and a little bit, you don't know what you're going to get on a certain day, I have gone against him, and I've gone with When Moon, who, look, he's less exposed than New Definition and might still need to be doing a bit of learning on the track. But from what I've seen on his 2 starts today, I like what I see, and I think he's got big potential to go and win this race. 2-year-old son of Memas, who obviously has been a great sire in these sprinting events over the last few years. He made his debut in June, went second to the Smart Hoy at Carlisle. He learned from that experience, dropped down to 5 furlong at Ripon over course and distance last time out, and got off the mark in nice style. The quicker the ground, the better for this horse. And obviously holding that course and distance form, I do think he might just have the edge. And the thing with New Definition, he's had, 5-6 runs now? Even though he's exposed, he could still be improving. But I just think When Moon's got more to come. And I've gone with the less exposed one in this to get the job done. So the first big race of the day on ITV from Newbury is the 155 listed Denford Stakes. This, Paul, it sort of fell apart, hasn't it, this race, with only 5 runners going to post. At the anti-post stage, this had a fair few runners in that could have been quite a nice race. Even though there's 5 runners, there is some horses that could go on to be really, really nice. But with only 5 going to post, it is probably lesser and all than we've seen in the past. Who do you fancy?
I've gone with Candle of Hope, who won well on racecourse debut over 6 furlongs at Newbury back on July the 7th. Followed that up by justifying odds-on favouritism at Thirsk over 7 furlongs when last seen. I think she looks a bit exciting here. Richard Hughes trains, and Hughesy does like to promote his own jockeys in the yard, but he has said when starting out that he'd use the best available, and he's gone for Tom Marquand here. So he obviously holds Candle of Hope, and probably rightly so, in high regard. So it's Candle of Hope for me.
Yeah, it's nice to see Richard Hughes actually have a really nice one, because obviously in the past he's had a few that haven't quite gone on to make it. And obviously, if this horse can go and win this race, it'll be a step in the right direction. I have gone against the filly, though, and I've gone with Victory Dance, a horse I tipped up last time in the Superlative. And I thought this horse was going to follow in the footsteps of the horses that went on to win that race, like Porto, Master of the Seas, Native Trail. And then I really did believe it was Godolphin's horse for the future for the Guineas. I think that's probably turned out to be Naval Power now, but they've got some ammunition. Godolphin, haven't they, and Charlie Appleby, so they probably won't mind this horse being second best. But I still think this represents a perfect opportunity of this horse get back to winning ways. Made his debut over course and distance in the middle of June, and went on to win. Sorry, that was a Newmarket over 7 furlongs, and went on to win. Only won by a head, but look, got off the mark, and it was the job that needed to get done. Sent it to the Group 2 Superlative Stakes, like I said, and I'd even though losing behind Isaac Shelby and had the rail and probably should have gone on to win, I wasn't disappointed at all. I thought it was a good run. I think Isaac Shelby is going to turn out to be a nice horse for Brian Meehan. But one thing I did take out the race is that I thought he still looked very babyish. It was only his second run. I think he's got a lot of learning to do. Dropping back into a listed race with only 5 runners, I thought he could show his true potential, and I just hope he's improved from that run, because I do think he can turn out to be quite a nice horse. So even though it's a bit of a safer option, I think currently around the 4 to 5 mark, prices just come out. I'll be sticking with Victory Dance, and I hope to see him get off the mark. So the third course we're going to cover on the podcast this week is Newmarket, and the first of their 2 events on ITV is the Class 2 Fillies Handicap over 1 mile 6 furlong. Paul, this looks a little trappy affair, doesn't it, with only a few runners again?
Yeah, again, small fields seem to be the order of the day every day, but that's an argument for another day. I've gone with Sea Sylph, who finished second in two of her last 3 starts. Both second place efforts were in handicaps. Finished last at 6th in Group 3 company in between. She's usually dropped out, and with Jamie Spencer on board, I'm going to take a chance that Sea Sylph can pounce late and break the hearts of opponents here. So Sea Sylph for me. Yeah,
Jamie Spencer on board. You can just see this horse being rid late and just coming off the pace like Spencer normally does. I've gone for the different approach. I've gone for Atlantis, and this filly's a horse I've been watching all season long. And I think she's just progressing, getting better. And with Dettori on board as well, I just think she's got everything going for her in this race. Seen 4 times in her career to date. A really nice bred daughter of See the Stars. And she seemed to really get the hang of things quite quite late throughout. If you see, she's finishing second, then she's gone on to win. But a 6th on debut over 10 furlongs in April wasn't a bad run at all. And it's like a couple of the horses we've already been through in this podcast. A lot of the horses we've been talking about are still learning on the job for me. And they're coming into just past the middle of the flat season. This is where they can really go and kick on. She went into up to 12 furlongs at Newmarket. It was a good second to Time Lock for Harry and Roger Charlton. She then had to settle for second again. Next time out, she was behind See on Time. See on Time runs today for William Haggis again, but a 2-time winner seeking a hat trick. Today is Thursday when we're recording, if everyone doesn't know. So, and then last time out, she went to Doncaster in a Fillies handicap and got off the mark in quite taking style. Up £9 for that. I still think she's got more in the tank off a mark of 89. And I just think the extra 2 furlongs here is exactly what she wanted. If you watch the Newmarket, a Doncaster run last time out, she was just going away. And maybe the opposition wasn't the best in the world. But that's exactly what you want to see when a horse is stepping up in trip. So, yeah, Atlantis for me, and a horse who I think's got quite a lot of potential. So one of the feature events from Newbury on Saturday is the Group 3 Jeffrey Freya Stakes over 1 mile 5 furlong. This, over the last 2 years, has been won by Hookham, who's obviously turned out to be a Group 1 winner and quite a nice horse in the making. Again, like we've mentioned, Paul, only 5 runners go to post. It seems like that's going to be the order of the weekend with small fielded runners. Who do you like in this one?
I've gone with Away He Goes, who finished 5th to 9 in the Goodwood Cup, a Group 1 contest behind Kyprios last time out. Only beat 1 home in the Hardwick Stakes the time before that, but finished second behind True Shan on soft ground last season. That was also in the Goodwood Cup. Is a winner on good ground and good to firm. And I just think a bit of a price maybe, or, representing a bit of value, Away He Goes should hopefully give you a bit of a run for your money.
Yeah, looking through the field, it's tough because you've got some horses that really need to come back to form, but because it's a small little affair and maybe not the strongest renewal of this race, you can't really judge it as a Group 3, and I think you've just got to judge it off the horses alone. If they do come back to the form, they can go on and win this race. But I am just going to go off. Well, I'm going to go with Zachariah, and the reason I've gone with Zachariah is if he can get back to that form at Royal Ascot in the Group 2 Queen's Vase, I just think he's so hard to beat with the weight for age allowance, especially. Like you said, Tom Marquande's booked for this ride. Freddie and Martin Mead have booked him for this. And if you look at his form this season, all he's wanted is to go up in trip, going in trip. He started over 7 furlongs, started over 8 furlongs, went up to 11.5 furlongs in the listed Derby trial. And yes, it was a 4-runner race, but didn't finish that far behind United Nations, who's a nice horse we haven't seen since winning that race. Walker Stars has come out and ran well. And Natural World has since been gelded and ran well in a handicap. Went up to 14 furlongs, obviously, in that Royal Ascot race. And I tell you what, if he wasn't for a few strides by Eldar Eldarov, he'd have won that race and he'd be coming into this race a Group 2 winner. I think maybe the Newmarket race, after in the Bahrain Trophy, obviously Deauville Legends come out and won. Al Karim and Walker Stars win that as well. They're all nice horses that have finished ahead of Zachariah. And I think Zachariah didn't really finish his race off. I think the Ascot run was maybe hanging over his head slightly. And I don't think he gave his true finish to the race. But this looks a much weaker event. I know it's a Group 3, but getting way off the field, much weaker event, a little bit more time off compared to when the Ascot run. I just thought it could be very tough to beat around the 7-4 mark if getting back to that Royal Ascot form. Yes, he is the current favourite in the race. And it's a small, trappy affair, but I thought it'd be very tough to beat if anything like his Royal Ascot run. So back over to Ripon for their final event on ITV. And this is probably the trickiest event on the card, Paul. The 250 William Hill Great St. Wilfrid Handicap. This race over the years has seen multiple horses in the race. It's a bit of a smaller field than usual, so hopefully it's a little bit easier, but it's still tough. Who do you like in this?
Yeah, there's a number of these. The reopposed have met each other in the past plenty, and I've gone with Emperor Spirit, who was a beaten favourite at Chelmsford behind in a race won by Misty Gray last time out. Emperor Spirit never really looked happy, having been caught out wide and essentially weakened to finish a well-beaten 9th in the end. Emperor Spirit was a good second at Ascot off his current mark of 92 2 starts ago, and was second behind Just Another Bottle over course and distance back in June. And I think I saw around about the 14-1 mark. I certainly think Emperor Spirit represents a bit of value and can get in the mix once again.
Yeah, like there'll be some bookmakers across the week that weekend. Sorry, that might be offering extra places even there, so he might be worth searching around. But currently, I was looking at a general 14-1. I think probably Emperor Spirit's a nice enough price there. I've gone for one of my favourites anyway, and I know Paul, I think you like this horse as well. Maybe tipped him up in the past. Summergand. I just think he's got a race in him. It's like you talked about earlier. This horse pops up now and then every season. And I know he's 8 years of age now. But this horse has definitely got a race in him with his mark constantly falling, now on a mark of 98. I think Saturday could be the day for him. He's been an absolutely superb yardstick for David O'Meara over the years, landing races like Stewards Cup at Glorious Goodwood back in 2020, Group 3 Abernant Stakes. I think he beat Oxted that day that went on to win the King's Stand Stakes. He's also won race on the all-weather, like the all-weather sprint championships, and also the listed Hopeful Stakes. And that's just to name a few of the races. He's also been a horse that's been chucked into handicaps off really high marks and run cracking races. He just always seems to give his running. And the only problem he's had over probably say the last year or so is that because he's been running so well in these sorts of events, he's not getting any younger. He was on a mark of 110 and he's run some stinkers, and he owes nothing to anyone at all because the amount of good races he's run, he owes nothing. But what's made it really interesting for me, and even though he's 8 years of age now, his latest few runs since he's been dropping down the handicaps along marks of 103, 101 and 100, he's been in and around the frame, 6th, 5th, and even though he was 9th at Glorious Goodwood last time in the Stewards Cup, he wasn't too far off the lead. He's now down to a mark of 98, sees him £9 lower than his last winning mark. I just thought this could be the day where he could go on and strike. And Summergand around the 7-1 mark. I think he could be a nice each way bet in this, and he'll definitely give you a run for his money. And I just think he's an absolutely great horse for David O'Meara over the years. So hopefully he can get the job done. So the penultimate event from Newbury on ITV is the BetVictor Handicap over 7 furlongs. Paul, who do you like in this one?
Yeah, we're after the 3 o'clock. I've gone with 5,000 to 1 for Andrew Balling and David Probert, who took a step forward on previous efforts when getting within a short head of Run to Freedom last time out. Where's the cheek pieces? Again, I do have a fondness for horses who are a little bit quirky, who take a little bit of knowing. You know, he has his own way of doing things, but when you look at that last Run to Freedom has a rating of 112. 5,000 to 1 is a rating, or the highest rating here, is 103. So if 5,000 to 1, if he can represent, if he can reproduce that last time out run, I think he has to be thereabouts. So 5,000 to 1 for me.
Yeah, 5,000 to 1 was the one I looked at and definitely feared. Definitely got a really good chance. And I know at the anti-post stage, there was plenty of horses in this race again. And now there's only the 7. So if you did back this horse anti-post or any of the horses that have stayed, you're obviously getting the 3 places compared to the 2 in this. I've took a bit of a chance in this race, and I've gone down the route with the old timers like I did with Summergand. I've gone for a 9-year-old in this one, and that's Documenting. Currently around the general 14 to 1 mark. He's the most exposed runner in the field, but seems to be retaining big ability. So he's a 9-year-old off a mark of 99 still. So I think that's really admirable about this horse. And I think he looks to have a big chance. Even though there is 2 places on offer, I still think you can back him each way. Largely consistent in big field handicaps throughout his career. This year, he's been absolutely no different. Finished a fair 9th at Royal Ascot in the Buckingham Palace Stakes. Then backed that up at York next time out, went 3rd in a good race. Last time out, back at Ascot, Documenting put up a real top effort to finish a close 5th of 21 behind the likes of Fresh, Bless Him, Dark Shift, and that was in the International Stakes, which I think is a better race than what we're looking at here. He runs off the same mark. It's an easier event. I just thought he couldn't be overlooked. He was in the same form. Yes, he's 9 years of age, but it's not the best race in the world, is it? And I've took the age out of it, and I've just gone for what I see on the form and how he's been running today. So Documenting for me a big price in this one. So Paul, you mentioned you like quirky horses. Well, this is a very quirky race. The next one we're going to go through, and it's the last one from Newmarket. It's the Grey Horse Handicap over 6 furlongs on the July course. As you guessed, this race is for only horses who are grey, and they're only allowed to run in the race. Paul, are you a fan of this race?
Yeah, I think it does no harm. I think it has proven pretty popular over the years. So yeah, no, I'd definitely be in favour of it now. Keep it going, and it may offer horses that may lack opportunities elsewhere on the calendar. It just may open, up to them. So, yeah, no, I like it.
Yeah, definitely. The only problem I'd say with this year's is, like we've been talking about all through the podcast, only 7 runners have turned up here. There's normally more, and you can get a bit of each way action. But anyway, we'll have a go anyway. 7 runners going to post for this one. Who do you like?
I've gone with Lord Rapscallion, who takes a drop in class to what he's been used to competing in. He's been placed in Class 2 handicaps off his current mark of 83, was once rated and finished second off 93. So I think Lord Rapscallion might just be able to take advantage of his declining mark here and score, I think, in the hands of Callum Shepherd.
We really are taking each other on this week, aren't we? I don't think we've agreed on one yet. So, and I'm going to keep that trend going. I like Mr. Bluebird in this for Heather Main. Even though top weighted in this event, I think what's key is Harry Davies taking off 5 for this horse. Frequently use this term. He's been largely consistent, placing in 4 of his 7 events. The other 3 runs seen him just outside the frame, so I've got no problem with that. He landed a 19-runner handicap at Ascot in May off a mark of 74. He then went to York in a tougher event of £6 higher and was a valiant 6th of 21 that day. Dropped £1 for that run to a mark of 79. Got back to winning ways at Musselburgh over 7 furlongs. And then went up to 84, was a close-up 4th on this July course. Moved back down to 6 furlongs at Haydock on Sunday in the Sunday series. He was 5th of 17, but a fairly close 5th that day. He's off the same mark here. As I said, Harry Davies is taken off that £5, which effectively sees him off a mark of 79, which was exactly the same mark of what his last winning mark was. I think Harry Davies is key to Mr. Bluebird's chance, and I'm going to take a chance on him in the Grey Horse Handicap. So the big race of the day across the sport and on ITV, and the one we're going to finish on, is the Group 2 Hungerford Stakes from Newbury over 7 furlongs. This race has seen some really nice winners over the last few years. Horses like Sacred last year winning for William Haggis. This year I'll just go through the field. The top of the market 5-2, currently 5-2. We've got about Tiber Flow, Shindy in there around the 4-1 mark generally. Pogo around the same, Double or Bubble, Happy Romance, Dubai Poet, and then around 12-1, 14-1 bar from that generally. Paul, who do you like in this one?
Yeah, I've gone with Tiber Flow, who found life a little tough behind Perfect Power and Co. in the Commonwealth Cup at Ascot last time out, where he eventually finished 8th. Tiber Flow won a listed event over 6 furlongs at Newbury 2 starts back. His 4 victories from 6 starts. And when you look through his form, his runs this season have been pretty well spaced out. There's generally, give or take, there's a month between each run. And I think with plenty of pace on here, you got Chindit and Pogo who like to go forward. So the pace, anticipating pretty generous fractions early on, I think it could well pay to side with one who's dropped in. And I've gone for Tiber Flow.
Well, eventually, he's come to the last one, and we're agreeing with each other. Yeah, Tiber Flow, I'm really, really keen on this horse, actually. And for everything you've just said, with the fractions that are going to be set by the horses, like up the front, you know how Pogo's going to run. He's going to go off and try and win the race from the front. I think that'll be perfect for Tiber Flow. If you look, even at his last race when he finished 8th at Royal Ascot, he just comes off the pace, keeps going. And this is obviously much easier than that race. Another stat that I looked at for this race that really put me in favour with Tiber Flow is that William Haggis, obviously, we've been talking about him a lot on the podcast, been flying all year. He's won 2 of the last 7 renewals. And the 2 horses he's won this race with is Sacred, 3-year-old, and Naday, who are 3-year-old. And they're the only 3-year-olds to win this race. So if you look at Tiber Flow going into this race, also a 3-year-old, he sort of seems to target with specific horses. And I think Tiber Flow absolutely fits that mould perfectly. Yeah, I can't add much more to what you said there. Yeah, I just think back in calmer waters, he's got a really, really solid chance. And I know he's been heavily backed from the anti-post stage, and generally now around 5-2 in the market. And I know before that was 5-1, 7-2, 4-1. So yeah, it's nice to see him getting backed as well. So that's all, Paul, for this week's podcast, which means there's only one thing left to do. I'll have your nap, please, on the Saturday.
I'm going to go with C Self in the 210 at Newmarket. I think second and 2 handicaps in 2 over 3 last 3 starts. A hold-up performer, small field, Spencer on. I think C Self ticks a lot of boxes in that 210 contest.
Well, like we have done because for like the whole podcast, my nap is also in that race.
Right. Lovely.
We might. Well, actually, do you know what? I'll go different. I will go different. I will go different because if that does happen, we want 2 winning naps, don't we? We want 2 winning naps.
Yeah, I do.
So I'll let you have that one, and you have made a strong case for that one. I'll go for the 2:30 Newbury, the Jeffrey Freya Stakes, and I'm going to stick with Zechariah for Freddie and Martin Mead. Getting back to that Royal Ascot form, I think he looks extremely tough to beat, generally around the 74 mark as we record. So yeah, hopefully 2 winning naps. I'm glad we haven't took each other on in the end and we finished with the same horse and Tiber Flow. But yeah, Paul, thanks as ever for your selections this week. Hopefully you found as many winners as you did last week because he was absolutely brilliant from yourselves. And I know me and Frankie chucked him, but you were definitely the star of the show last week. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe and comment with your selections. See if you match ours or you're against us for the weekend. And that's it for this week's pod. So all the best, Paul.